Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Crazy Talk. In today's episode, we are going to be diving into what it's like living in an abusive, toxic household. And throughout this episode, I'll be sharing my experiences, some generalized experiences, which you may be experiencing. I'll give some tips on what we can do or I'll give some tips for what I wish I knew somebody had told me or what I heard and just didn't listen to when I was younger. I'll also show some signs for you parents out there, some signs of depression that it's very important for all parents to know. Okay? All too often we disregard our children's feelings. We kind of compare it to our lives and act like theirs is not that big of a deal. But you have to remember, we were little once too, and to us, everything's a big deal. Okay? So I think it's time we start validating their feelings, accepting and acknowledging their feelings, and letting them know it's okay to feel these. It's important that we set a safe environment for our children and we create an environment where they feel safe. I think I just said that. But where they feel safe to come to us and talk to us, because the last thing you want is for your kid to feel like they can't talk to you, to feel like they are all alone in this world. You don't want that. Okay? So stay tuned. Keep listening so you can hear those signs and symptoms to look out. And if you feel like you are stuck in an abusive relationship, whether it be you're a kid, or a teen going through it and, you don't see a way out, you can't get no help, or you're an adult in an abusive relationship and you can't find a way out, there will be tips for you too. So stay tuned, don't go nowhere, and I hope you like it. And by the way, I just want to mention, if you do like the episode, please drop a like, hit the subscribe button, please share it so we can get this message out. And please, I want to hear your feedback. Please drop a comment down below and tell me what you think. So yeah, let's get to it.
Abundance flows to me when I get out of my own way. Life is so easy when I focus on what is great. I am worthy of reciprocated energy. I am worthy of a love that loves as deep as me. I am worthy of aligning with my higher self. I am worthy of...
Okay. So it's pretty common knowledge what physical abuse looks like, because, that's all we see on TV. That's all we see in the books, here in the news. You hear about parents being arrested for neglecting and abusing their child. I just read about, that teen mom family case. The kid kept running away and everybody's like, everybody was jumping to conclusions that it was the mom, but, that's a big red flag if the kid's running away. And then come to find out, child abuse charges are being filed against him now. So it's very hard for them to tell you exactly what's going on. There's so many things going on in their brain telling them why they can't express themselves. I can't speak for them. I don't know. But it's a known fact. Kids cannot speak. They don't speak everything how they feel. It's very complicated and difficult for them. And especially if they've never been taught the tools, how can we expect them to really speak their feelings? Or if they can't properly identify their feelings, how do we expect that? They're still figuring out the world. It took me about 25 years to figure out my feelings, to figure out how to pinpoint and identify what I'm feeling and why, and then be able to properly express that. So imagine all that emotion going through a little kid. In these moments, I find it best to reflect on myself, and not in a selfish way, but if I find myself getting irritated or dismissive of my son's feelings, I'll remember, hey, this stuff was a big deal to me, and, he may not be getting his whole point across, and I really need to open I need to make sure he knows that I'm willing to listen without judgment, so I can really get a feel and understanding of what's going on with him. Because at the end of the day, his feelings are what's important, and making sure he's okay is very important. We often just think of, physical health, but their mental health is important. But anyways, I got off topic again and I lost where I was going, so I had to stop and listen. Okay. So yeah. We need to do better at recognizing our kids' feelings and accepting them and validating them. That's the point. So let's get to the root of the story. Surviving abusive household. This often looks like, okay, sorry, my train of thought's just coming back to me. So, yeah, the media often portrays physical abuse, but what they don't really speak about is the mental and the verbal abuse, which has just as big as which has just as big as an impact. Which has just as big of an impact. Yeah. When you're constantly hearing that you're not shit, you're trash, you're a faggot, you're not going to be anything, you're not wanted, you're not loved, someone nitpicking every single thing about you all the time, despite you raging out against them and, outwardly not believing it, that still clicks in your brain, and you hear that voice forever. Unfortunately, I'm 26 and I'm still working out that mom's voice, my mom's voice, my grandma's voice. Just because they are not physically hurting you does not mean it's not abuse. Kids, from personal experience, are too often just labeled as over-emotional, hard to deal with, passed off, handed off. I was put in a mental hospital for spraying my mother with a water hose, even though she was the one with the knife out on me. But I felt too much. I overreacted. That's a toxic household. That's an abusive household. That manipulation and making me believe that by spraying my mom down to prevent her from stabbing me was an overreaction. How can we expect people to act like shit never happened? How can society pass the shit and sweep it under the rug? If you grew up in an abusive household and your brain is stays in this constant state of defense. It's been in its defense mode for 18 years. And yet all of a sudden, just because we had a birthday, had a man-made timeline, it's supposed to click and change itself and know how to fully function like an adult that has not been abused for the last 18 years is beyond me. It's beyond me, because it doesn't work like that way. We miss so much of our core development because we're in defense mode, survival mode. We're literally just trying to survive, so we can't thrive. Like I said, I had no intention of being here after 18. I had 2 attempts under my belt under the age of 18. And unfortunately, that's the reality for many teens. Thank God I didn't, I'm blanking, but thank God I didn't actually, I went through with it, but thank God it didn't work. I failed. It was a failed attempt. Thank God. But in those moments, I thought that this was my life. This was it. No matter what I did, you couldn't change anything. I went to years of therapy, and they tell you to listen to your music, and you walk away, anything to not cause a reaction. But when you do that and you have a narcissistic parent who loves the argument, who chases you and takes away your music, what are you to do? And that's why one thing, when I ground my kid, I don't ground him from his music. I'm not once, because that was a coping mechanism for me, so I can recognize that and accept that. Whether y'all think that's not a full grounding or not, I just feel like kids got to cope some way. You know, Music definitely elicits lots of emotions so that you can think about your actions while jamming out to whatever you listen to. Okay. So, but that's just me. But yeah, so in an abusive household, those tactics and those skills they teach you in therapy, they don't apply. Because when your parent is the instigator, and even when if you hide in your room, then you get your door taken off, there's literally no escape. So what literally suicide, or if, social media wants me to say unaliving yourself, is unfortunately the reality and the only way out for many people. They can't see what it's like to be 18, and when they finally move out, it's difficult. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, but it's 1,000% better. And that's what I want every one of y'all to know. It does get better, regardless of how difficult life gets after 18. I was sleeping in my car when I moved out of my grandma's house. Sleeping in my car. I slept on a tent on the side of the road. I've been in a homeless shelter. I've had nowhere to go. I've been outside of my car in the freezing cold. It does get hard and it is lonely, but it is 1,000% better than living in that constant abuse and manipulation, gaslighting. I was gaslit for so long that it's really hard for me to tell, like, my own feelings. I feel like everything is not real. Like, not real, but like, all my feelings aren't valid. So I have a real hard time seeking outside validation or not trusting my own gut, because for so long I was told that I was crazy. Hence crazy talk. That's where I got the name. For years, you told you're crazy, you're the problem, you deserve this. And despite us like knowing in our core that we don't, our brain still soaks it up. And even though we don't want to feel that way, our brain feels that way. And that's where teen depression comes from. And what gets me is that you can tell this stuff to all the adults. I told so many people, and nobody helped me. But if I had physical marks on me, which my grandparent was very smart at knowing not to do, he made comments about it. Then if you don't have the marks, then there's nothing they can do. There's nothing anybody wants to do. But if you're self-harming, you're the problem, no matter what you say. So, and this is not like a Debbie Downer, and this isn't to make you think this is a permanent, this is to express the deepness and the severity of it to the people that don't know. This shit is difficult, and America needs to wake up, because accepting mental health is really at the core of it, because we're so dismissive of it. We're so dismissive of feelings, and we're so quick to pass it off, especially with the kid telling you, or a kid hurting themselves. There's clearly a sign there. Oh, he just wants attention. That's the famous line. And for me, my grandma knew for a long time that I was cutting, and she did not use it. She did not even mention it, talk about it. I didn't even know she knew until she used it to get me admitted, because they would not admit me into that hospital that first night for spraying my mom. But then she was like, show them your arms tray. And then my heart sank. I knew. Like, how could you know your kid's doing that and just not say anything? Not care, only use it to weaponize. That was my grandmother's greatest gift. She used everything she could to weaponize do anything she could to hold her power. And that's what an abusive parent and relationship looks like. That's the reality. So y'all thinking that y'all, when they say like it's so easy to escape an abusive relationship, you really don't know what you're talking about. These people will do anything to hold power over you. And I even got charged. I got my first charge because when I went to court, my grandmother was the one pressing charges for me, on me for saying I was going to blow up the house, even though my sisters would say it all the time, but for saying I was going to blow up the house. So she was the one pressing charges, and yet sat in the room with me, with my lawyer, told me not to speak as she talked and took the plea deal from the lawyer. As I sat unaware, not knowing anything, I was like 13 or 14 years old. How is that legally acceptable? I mean, yeah, I guess it would have proceeded because I did say it, but the fact that reality is, I got it from my sister. She said it all the time and nothing, not even a punishment, but I say it one time and I get a fucking charge. Abusive household, toxic family. But I got too far into myself. I'm going to post another episode on Friday. I hope you stay tuned. More about that story with me. But I want to be more generalized with this. Like abusive, it's really hard to see. No one knows because, you feel like you can't tell anybody. You feel like because your abuser got in your head. They tell you that no one's going to believe you. They'll laugh in your face when you say you tell, make you feel down, like nothing's going to happen. Because that's their manipulative tactics. They know that they can trick you into believing that your story does not matter, that your story is invalid, and that they can defeat you regardless. So you tell who you want. That's what they'll say. Tell them. Who cares? And that just like they know the outcome already. Why challenge it? But I'm here to tell you, challenge it. If you know deep in your core, like I did, that you are being wronged, that you are being abused, whether it be verbally, physically, you don't deserve it. And you need to speak up. Now, I can't guarantee someone will help you. Hence the surviving. Because the key thing is that you survive this and you come out alive to see what is to come and the beautiful life that you have ahead of you. That there is more than this. I know it seems like it's forever, but it's not. I hate the fact that people have to go through this and that they have to survive this and no one cares. It's just dismissed. It's not my problem. It's their kid. They're probably overdramatic. They're a troubled teen. I was that troubled teen. And let me tell you, all I wanted was for someone to save me. That's all I wanted. I can admit my cuts were cries for help. I wanted someone to see them. But at the same time, I'm just like, it wasn't for attention. It was for help. Help me, please. Leave. I can't do this any other way. Self-harming was literally my self-control. That was me not punching walls, not punching other people. I couldn't talk back because that would get me hit. I couldn't talk back because then I would get restricted again. So what was I to do? I had so much feeling, so much hurt, so much pain. The only thing I could do was hurt myself. And I thought that if I hurt myself, that's good. I'm not hurting anybody. I couldn't understand why therapy said it was no big deal. I'm doing what y'all told me to. I'm not arguing back. I'm not fussing. I'm not fighting. I have no feelings. I just take it out on myself. And that's what happens when you create an environment where your kid feels like they can't talk to you. Unfortunately. Going through it, I just can't imagine creating that type of environment. I just don't understand. I'm a little too worried about my son's mental health. Constantly doing check-ins. so much for me. I need to make sure you're okay. Okay? I don't force him to talk about anything he doesn't want to, which he's a preteen, so he doesn't really want to talk about much, but I am going to make sure you're okay. And make sure, I won't get too far into that. That's a whole other episode. But, it's just important to do these check-ins and make sure that these kids know you care, that you are here for them. I mean, hopefully, if you're not an abuser, then you have nothing to worry about. I mean, you still have stuff to worry about because kids have so many problems these days. My son was literally crying to me the other day because of a bomb threat at his school. The realities that the life we are living in America today is unreal. It's sad. The war's going on. It's all... I'm so over it. America needs to wake up, but we have all this shit on Facebook and TikTok. So many videos going viral of showing a hot body or a guy talking about sex. Sex sells. America, come on. Wake up, take care of your children, make more effective change, and let's start progressing versus reversing. Blah. It just makes me so mad that it's like no one cares. We have all these very real problems in America and no one cares. And that leads me to the point, no one cares. Unfortunately, I care. I just want to say I care. If you ever feel unsafe, please go to my website because there's always a space for you, okay? There's links to all the different helps you can get. I'd love to implement something in the future. I don't know what yet, but I'd love to implement something. My email is on my website. If you feel some type of way, if you feel like you have no one, please feel free to email me. The last thing I want is for someone to feel like they have absolutely no one because I have everything to give. And if I can even just help one person, I'm here. There's also the suicide prevention number, 988. Very important. I'm so glad they made that 3-digit number. And I know it's scary and it seems weird to call and that you feel like if you call, it's just weird, but that is, I promise you can say whatever you want. You can tell them and get everything off your chest. And that will help so much. Just talking is so much. Feeling like someone cares is so much. And if they're working there and they're answering those phones, I promise you they care. Someone cares. And that's what you need to hold on to survive an abusive household. Someone cares. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and this is not forever. And to the people that are not going through this, we need to wake the fuck up and do better. When these kids are telling us something, we need to listen. I can't even tell you how many people I've told. All my family knew what was going on. I get so much now as an adult, not now because I don't really talk to any of them, but every event when I gave it a second go and I went to all my family events, even though it was all last minute invites, second thoughts, I still went. I did everything I could to go, because I thought I was the problem. I was the reason. But anyways, so all I got was, "Oh, Trey, I'm so sorry. I can't believe that you experienced that. I don't know why Debbie did you like that." They all acknowledged the shit I had to deal with. But nobody was there to help me. And I guess for a long time I held on to resentment, but now I'm just so indifferent to it. I depend on myself, a lot on my fiance, soon to be husband, can't wait. That's why I just don't fuck with y'all really, because everybody was there when it was all put on me, given. Now I can reflect, obviously. No, I'll save that for later. Everybody was there. And everybody wrote me off as the troubled teen, the lonely guy. It's not normal for a kid to go 48 hours without being seen. Not normal. It's not normal for a kid to be arguing every single day. Okay, I'll dismiss moody teens. I will give it you that. But this was way different. I hope I'm getting my point across. I feel like I'm all over the place. This is just a really tough subject, really close to home, and it means a lot to me. But, oh, I'm going to talk about the people I told. So my whole family knew, you know, when I went to the mental hospitals, I'm talking about my family. When nobody showed up on my birthday in the mental hospital, a freaking nurse brought me The Fault in Our Stars. I'll forever remember. If you ever see this, I don't remember your name, but you were literally a gift from God. That book, getting that book meant everything to me. Not one family member. If I'm not mistaken, if that was the year my oldest sister, Bree, brought me cupcakes, so that was nice. Thank you for doing that. I do appreciate that, but that was it. Um, so the nurses, the teachers at school. I even had a teacher. I had just self-harmed at school. I had a hard day. I knew I had already pre-planned it. I just brought it just in case, I guess. And then just so happened, oh God, I was in this extra class where we did nothing. And I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. Slipped out, self-harmed, came back. And then they were doing this it's some magic trick or whatever, some wives' tale or something. And they involved swinging a coin over your wrist, and just so happened you had to have your wrist turned up, like this. So I'm like, no, I don't want to play. And they're like, come on, you're playing. I'm like, no, I'm not. I literally actively bleeding. I can't play. Well, they're like, get up, get going. So I have no choice. I'm like, fuck. So hopefully, I have my hoodie down, and they're all like, nope, you got to pull it up. I'm like, fuck, I can't do this. What am I going to do? But then low key in the back of my head, I'm like, oh my God, maybe this is it. They're going to find out and someone's going to help me. But no. So she pulls my shirt up, and they just see all the blood. I probably had to put a trigger warning for this, but they pull my shirt up. They see all the self-harm. And then my teacher's just like, you need to stop that. And then the girl was like, oh, that's really not good. I used to do that once. And that's it. Go on about your day. It's always, you shouldn't do that. That's not good. Oh, I hope you don't do that anymore. I have gotten a one or two. Can I ask why? What happened? What made you feel like you needed to do that? And let me tell you, that is the question to ask. We know this is not the way. We know we shouldn't be doing it. We know we're going to be judged. We know there's going to be scars forever. We know. You don't need to be telling us that. You need to be asking us why we feel like that. Don't just ignore it. Don't pass it off as a teenage problem. Get to the root of the problem. Hint, self-harm is not normal. It's a sign that something is wrong. For repeat offenders, for the mental health ward, you probably need to figure out what's going on. Everybody just gave me, it's just ways to deal with it, ways to cope. And I was sick of it. I'm like, I don't want to cope. I don't want to deal. And then that's when Rage Me came out. And that's when I started going to jail. And that's when I went to a group home because I had enough of it. I had enough. And unfortunately, I'm not going to lie. The group homes were a lot better. And, I didn't recognize it until my therapist told me, but I always thought I was just weird because every time I got sent to juvie, or every time I was at the mental hospital, or when I was in the long-term facilities like group homes and the long-term hospital, I was at peace. I was at 100% peace. I never had any problems. I did whoop a guy's ass once in my last group home that I did graduate. I did. My first group home, I did show up drunk and tear the tint off the windows and got kicked out. And then I did have a group home where I did get kicked out for, doing sexual things. So I got kicked out. Talk about embarrassing. But anyways, that was a normal thing. I mean, you can't lock a gay teen up with other teenagers and not expect them to do anything. But anyways, the first one I can understand. I was horrible for that. But, still, all these people would say, oh my, you're just so polite. You're such a good kid. I don't understand why you're here. Maybe you should believe me when I say my grandma's fucking crazy. Maybe you should believe me when I say my mom is an abusive, manipulative monster. But no, it's just how to deal with it. That's the thing. They always tell you how to deal with it, but it's very hard to deal with an abuser. It's very hard to escape that. So, real quick, some tips to recognize that you're in an abusive relationship. I mean, you know deep down that it's abuse and you deserve better. And if you have that inkling in your gut, you need to hold on to it. Do not let them shake you. Do not let them rock you. And that is the key to surviving it. You need to I said this once before and I'll say it again. You need to place them in the category for which they belong, which in this case, the fucking trash. And you need to move on. That feelings of love will pass. That feelings of maybe they're right will pass. If you know you are in an abusive relationship, you need to talk to somebody. You need to tell somebody so you can talk to somebody with some sense. Because talking to that abuser, they're obviously not going to admit they're abusing you. They will see everything is your fault. Now they can do no wrong. They'll apologize when they want something from you. That's when that's when they can acknowledge they did wrong. Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I was having a hard day. I was mad. Nothing gives them a right to hit you. Nothing gives them a right to call you out of your name. Nothing gives them a right to talk down to you, to call you less than anything. You know your value, honey, and you better act it, okay? We all deserve better. But to the kids that can't escape, you just need to tell everybody, all the adults. Don't go telling kids because kids can't do nothing. But you need to be talking to adults, your school counselor, teachers, until you find somebody that can get you some real help. You need to talk. And I've seen so much. It's working at McDonald's when I was a manager and I had all these kids on my shift. It's just the way I hear these parents talk to these kids, it's sad. And I will be quick to fucking tell you, that's not appropriate. You should really think about that. I had a kid crying. He was this real trouble kid, always arguing with him. But I had an inkling. I knew. I'm like, what's going on with you? What's wrong? This can't be you. He's crying because his mom put him in the fucking bathroom. As a punishment, he has to sleep in the tub. And then she comes in here bragging about it. Ma'am, no. Talking about as soon as you turn 18, you're out of my house. Dude, it's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. Some people just do not deserve to be parents. Kids need to be taught that this world is a beautiful place. You're their parents. And you're being the cruelest they are. My grandma claimed in all in the name of love. That was her favorite thing. She just wanted what was best for me. She just wanted to make sure I was safe. So I'm gonna punish the gay out of you. I'm gonna call you every name in the book. I'm gonna make sure you're not fat. And instead of leading by example and eating healthy snacks, I'm just gonna tell you you have to run miles for extra chicken. Please. Please, I laugh because, again, a defense mechanism. That shit hurts hearing that. I just can't even believe it was me. But again, just know that this is not forever. You will make it through. Ooh, baby, just hold on. Please, 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 please. Please talk to somebody. Again, 988. I have the resources on talkcrazywithme.com. You can always comment on my blogs, email me, join my social media. That's what I want this for. Like, I just cannot stand the thought of other people feeling the way I felt growing up. It's not fair. And the abusers will say the world's not a fair place, but life is what you make it. Unfortunately, you have no control. And that's one thing I did not recognize. I had no control. And letting go of that is very beneficial for surviving an abusive relationship or household. Accepting the fact that they are who they are. You have no control. If you're an adult, you do have control. You need to get the fuck out regardless of the situation. Resources, I got you. There's lots of resources. You can't escape. For kids, we're still working on it. That's what I'm trying to do. Work on getting y'all more help because this shit is ridiculous. It's ridiculous how often kids get dismissed and written off. Just hang in there. For parents, some signs of depression: withdrawal and isolation. Again, like I said, it is not normal for a kid to spend 3 days, 2 days in their room without being seen. It's a symptom. Failing grades, drug use, not hanging out with friends, signs. It's very important that we look out for these, okay? And if you recognize these signs, make sure you're working on that, creating that environment. Make sure you're talking to your kid, letting them know you're here for them, validating any emotion that you can possibly. Because every time you validate that emotion, they're going to feel so much relief. They're going to be more inclined to come to you again whenever they're feeling something. So it's so important to validate their feelings. That's all I have for today. I hope I did a good job. Please, again, I think I said please 1,000 times. I will say it 1,000 more. Please, please, please subscribe, like, share, please. Best way to support. And leave a review. I'd love to hear from y'all. I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to hear what more topics you want to hear about, more input. And also, if you're interested in being interviewed or want to share your story, shoot me an email. My email is on talkcrazywithme.com, or you can shoot me a message on all my socials. And we will work on getting you on, because this is not my story. Okay, I have my side series for my story. This is our story. My whole point is to get as many voices as possible out so we can really see what it's like living with mental health. I'm just one piece of the puzzle. So, yep, let me know. With that being said, bye.
Abundance flows to me when I get out of my own way. Life is so easy when I focus on what is great. I am worthy of reciprocated energy. I am worthy of a love that loves as deep as me. I am worthy of aligning with my higher self.